You like, forget the countdown. Hey, we ain't in here, then. Well, we in here. Ain't no countdown. Can I be real, then?
We've been real.
Man, look, you can't leave you hanging on the, yeah.
Okay, I got you, brother.
Okay.
We got to get our hands together, too.
Yeah.
Man, check me out, man.
Hold on. You got gray?
Huh? No, don't tell me that now.
Oh, you got 𝒀𝒏𝒏.
No, that's from that.
I ain't gonna get it for you. You gotta get it yourself.
It look like a
be
gray.
real. Look like a little gray.
I did have a hood on.
Is it
One
more white?
One more white?
Yeah, there you go.
One more.
Bro, you could have got it
Hold
for
on,
me.
one more, bro. You got a piece right here on this side.
So it did look like a gray. I thought he had a little gray streak.
A little bit more. Now you moving it, bro. It's on the back. No, I'm mixing with you, bro. Can I be real? What's going on, Mr. Antong?
Hey,
how you doing, man?
How you doing, brother?
Man, good to see you, man. Good to be here, man.
Yeah.
This is another episode of Can I Be Real? And this episode, like we always hear when we got a guest, is sponsored by 𝐻𝐞𝐚𝐫𝐬𝐻𝐞𝐬𝐶 Districts, downtown Dallas, man. If y'all need any content, they got several rooms, man. We record in the studio. Check out 𝐻𝐞𝐚𝐫𝐬𝐻𝐞𝐬𝐶 Districts, man. But today we got a special one for you. We got Mr. Antong Lucky in here, man. How you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm blessed to be here.
Yes, sir.
Bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Blessed,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Yes, sir. How everything been going, man? Your name been ringing bells in the city, man.
Yeah.
We've been hearing a lot about you, man. You know, from Kiddo to Bruce Wayne to Antong Lucky, man. Like, talk to us about that, man.
Can we just talk about how, man? Look, it took a lot of work to get this. To get you in here for one, and even through the day.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been a lot of progress, man, and we had to go through to make this moment happen. So I definitely appreciate you. We appreciate
you do, man, for real.
Because the stuff that, boy.
Yeah.
Nah, man, I appreciate y'all for having me, bro. I know we had been trying to connect. I had been traveling, had a lot of stuff going, but man, I'm blessed to be here, man. Anytime y'all call, I'm coming.
We appreciate you, man. We appreciate you.
I love the hustle, man.
Yes, sir. You talk about the hustle, and I know you kind of skipped over that first question, man. You know what I'm saying? And you like, I love but like, tell us a little bit about that story, though, man. Like, cause I know, you do a lot in the community, you know what I mean, and now you're an author. But I know, it's a process. You ain't always been so if you could, touch on a little bit.
You got a lot of names too, man. I don't know what name to call you.
Hey,
I just want to say on camera, I ain't want to wear no blue, so that's why I got this on. It ain't really just cause I ain't want no flashbacks. But you got a lot of names, boss.
Nah, man, look. Now I originally from East Dallas, born and raised. My father was locked up when I was 9 months, man. And I remember just growing up as a kid, I ain't had my father in the household. And then my mother was working, she was the provider. Mm-hmm. But she closed the door on the relationship with my father. When he got locked up, she was out. Yeah, she wasn't finna write no letters. She wasn't finna do
none of that.
Typical some of these mothers today, But my mama, she closed that chapter, right? And so for me, I put like a lot of my talent in the school, man. Believe it or not, I was a talented, gifted student, straight A student, honor roll student, and I loved bringing them good grades home to my grandparents because they were my primary caretakers. Mm-hmm. And so they would praise me, right? And then out of all of my cousins, I had a big family. The Luckies in East Dallas was like probably the biggest family in East Dallas. And none of my mother, aunties, uncles got married, so all of the kids, all my cousins had luck. We had the biggest name, biggest game.
What part of East Dallas?
Projects, Fraser Court Projects, bro.
Got it.
And so we had a big name. So all the other kids, back then we can't, we started getting mischievous. It was a lucky game. But before that, I was on a road student. My grandparents were my primary caretakers, man. And I just love coming on, being a smart kid, bringing home good grades and being blessed and praised for that. But no amount of praise, right, was a match for growing up in East Dallas at that time. And South Dallas, because the neighborhood was it was about survival. Everything was about being the roughest, toughest, all that good stuff. And so, quite naturally, the love for my grades, for the praise and all that stuff faded away because I had to make a choice, right? Just speeding through it, I had to make a choice. We were going to school in South Dallas, so of course when you go to South Dallas, you're gonna fight them kids.
Yep.
And in our neighborhood, man, growing up, like East Dallas had 4 or 5 neighborhoods that set around us. And as far as I can remember, all those neighborhoods had identified with the Crip gang. You know, all of us Crips, you know, it's like late 80s. It was all Crip gang. So when we go to school, we just, you know, it was just natural. We fought. Man, I remember amputating my personality, right, to become what the neighborhood said I had to be. You feel me? I can remember like when my grades started sliding. I can remember when getting home each day consists of two things. Either how fast I can run, depending on how big the crowd is, or how hard I can fight. You know what I'm saying? And so that became every day for me and my cousin, you know, because we were going to 𝒀𝒏 which was in South Dallas, right? 𝒀𝒏 was rough back then.
You went to 𝒀𝒏, you did. You did some fighting, bro.
You know at 𝒀𝒏, man, you fighting every day. You know, that was just the norm, right? Just fighting every day, man. And then I remember, like, you know, just suppressing my genius and my smartness and my love for school and substituting that with fighting every day. Cause you know, you can get crucial, you get caught slipping. You know, and for me, especially at 𝒀𝒏, right, the bus left at 4:00 every day. So at 4:01, 4:02. If your class is on the other side of the school, you got literally 1 minute to make it to the bus. And sometimes that was impossible, right? And the bus just left. You know, the bus driver just left. We just took off. And so that became a journey. How do we get home? How do we get from 𝒀𝒏
to the house?
Back to East Dallas, and you got to do South Dallas neighborhoods, man. And that became every day for me, bro. And so one thing led to another. I mean, that became my life, you know, growing up in East Dallas, neighborhood surrounded by Crips, having to suppress who I was to become who the neighborhood said I needed to be. That became my journey.
Let me ask you something about that, man, because I know a lot of times kids feel like, you know, I gotta live up to this name. I had a conversation with my daughter last week. She was talking to me about going to a party and peer pressure, right?
Yeah.
And she was saying how she may not do something, but she'll fake like she doing it to be cool, right? You know what I mean? I'm like, you don't have to do that. You know what I mean? Like, because I was the type of kid, I didn't fall into peer pressure, but it was around me at the same time. Some of it I did, but I kind of was able to maneuver. Like, talk about that when you mean like how you had to amplify your personality and what that meant to you at that time.
Man, I'll never forget, man, this white person. Cause I was giving the talk one time, and I said, man, some kids are just accidental gang members, right? And they like, I remember this white person along the lines of you saying, how can you be accidental white? How can you be an accidental gang member? I said, let me paint you an example, and this kind of speaks to the peer pressure, right? If I come out my house, right, and I look down the street, and I see 10 people in blue sweaters, stomping somebody with a red sweater on, my common sense is gonna tell me to go put on a blue sweater.
That's real.
Now I'm in the game.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It was many dudes and females that grew up with us who weren't gang members, you know, who weren't trying to be gang members, but just by the sheer fact that they lived in that area, they wore that jacket, and they suffered. Now you gotta imagine, okay, I'm not a gang member, but every time you go to school, some opposing gang person charging you up and then kicking your butt, you know, or jumping on you. Just at some point you're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna have to respond. And unfortunately, it's like that for a lot of our kids who grew up in communities like we grew up in. You know, they don't wake up in the morning and say, hey, I want to be a gang member. Hey, I want to represent this. It's, you know, if you look out the door and you see that's happening, survival skills gonna kick in. It's survival of the fittest. And so a lot of things happen like that. So I can relate when your daughter's saying, cause it was for me. Like I was an A on the road student, but I would hide that from my friends and my cousins. I hid it for a long time. Because I understood smart kids got bullied. Because we bullied the smart kids. You feel me? And so you can't say what a person won't do and how strong the pressure is to be socially accepted. That's stronger than the drugs. Just to be socially accepted. So you'll find yourself doing some stuff that your core self don't normally or wouldn't want to do, but you're doing it for survival because you want to survive. And it's just a matter of how much you do and how far you go in. Because sometimes we stay on the edge of that, but it can pull us our way in. And before long, you'll see somebody standing in front of a judge or somebody at a graveyard because they couldn't pull back.
Nah, that's real. That's real.
So I know, I want to, how you got all these names? How you got all these names?
Man.
Bruce Wayne, Batman is one of my favorite characters. So I'm very, you know what I'm saying? But I understand.
I'm gonna tell you
if that's the same concept.
I'm gonna tell you how I got Bruce Wayne, right? So, and I go back to before I went to prison. But when I got out of prison, I had made this whole 180, 360, whatever you want to call it, transformation in my life, right? And I came out wanting to do a lot of the positive stuff that I'm doing now. But every time I would meet somebody and I say, kiddo, right? They had a story, good or bad. Whether they knew me personally or they didn't know me personally. I can't tell you how many times when I was in jail or when I was in prison and I'd be sitting talking to somebody who was talking about me. I'm telling my brother be sitting talking saying, hey man, you know, me and Kiddo and Rainbow and Clay, man, we used to do this and do that. And I'm sitting listening. He telling me how we used, and I don't even, and so when I got out, it was the same thing. Every time I would meet somebody, they had some kind of story. It was a story connected to the name, whether they knew me or not. And so I said, man, I got to get a fresh start, man. So I came up with Bruce Wayne because Bruce Wayne was he was a businessman by the day. He was trying to save Gotham by night, right? He was 𝐾𝐞𝐬𝐴, you know what I'm saying? And so that kind of became my life, you know what I'm saying?
Smooth character. You don't name yourself after somebody, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was a businessman,
for real, Bruce Wayne.
But he was trying to save Gotham. And so I looked at myself in terms of me coming back trying to save my neighborhood and save the people, et cetera, et cetera. That moniker fitted me. Well, I got some people right now, like if you told them my name was Kiddo, you told them my name was Antong, they would argue with you because I got so much stock invested. I got 23 years of being Bruce Wayne.
Oh wow! So being Bruce Wayne, doing the community activists and the community work. Like I know you said after you got out of prison, that's what you started doing. Like how was that journey? Like I know probably your struggles motivated you to do it, but like to start, like I can't even imagine like getting out and like boom, I'm just finna go start. You know what I'm saying? Working with the community.
Man, you gotta understand this. Like when I was standing in front of the judge, right? May 7th, my daughter was born. My first daughter was born May 7th. May 21st, I was standing in front of a judge expecting to go home. I had already made a commitment that I didn't want to be to my daughter what my father had been to be. My father did 37 years flat, day for day. So I typically grew up without a father. And I know how I felt as a kid, right? All those emotions. And so I was in this stage of thinking about like, I don't want my daughter to feel that. This is my first child. I don't know, it's no manual on being a parent.
Yes, sir.
But I didn't want to be that. And I'm thinking I'm going home. 2 weeks late, May 7th, May 21st, a judge told me that I was a menace to society and I deserved prison. And I remember when he said it, everything slowed down. It was an old white judge, white hair, I never forget. And in my mind, right, I started saying, but Judge, you don't understand, like I'm from East Dallas, man, you gotta be hard in East Dallas, you can't be fake, that ain't really who I am. I'm really a smart kid, but I just had to do that to get but the conversation never came out of my mouth, it was just in my head. And I remember going back to my cell, right, and going to prison. I wanted to know, like, how in the hell did I go from an A honor roll student to a judge calling me a menace to society, right? I wanted to know that because while he's sentencing me to prison, and I did some stuff in the neighborhood, but while he's sentencing me to prison, I'm afraid to go. So just think about that. The judge saying, you're a menace to society, you deserve to be in prison, and I'm sitting up here afraid to go because I don't know all of the unknowns. You feel me? And so I go back to my cell, right? And I wanted to know the answer to that. I wanted to know like why I did that. And right when I went to prison, Tupac had just released, and he had that song "Living Down in L.A." And that's all I listened to. Tupac, he was the prophet for me. And so when he said in that song "Living Down in L.A.," he said, "This verse right here stung me, right? Because going into prison, when I asked that question, I wanted to be real with myself. I didn't want to fake. And so Tupac said, learn about the West Coast, B's and C's, them other dudes, copycat, D's for G's, right? And so for me, right, as I'm looking in that mirror, man.
That's a bar too. That was a bar.
Yeah.
You can't let that slide. That was a bar too.
Yeah.
No, hey, that's hard.
Man, I'm looking in that mirror, man, and I'm saying, when I'm thinking about my neighborhood, right? I'm saying, because we didn't talk about this, but I'm saying we became Bloods, right? Because we were watching what was happening in California. Because you got to understand, Texas and Dallas, and they going to probably be mad at me for saying this, but we never had a solid identity. We always watched what was going. We was always influenced by the East Coast or the West Coast, and we beat 100. You know, we gonna either listen to we gonna listen to what's happening in California, or we listen to East Coast. We didn't have no music scene back then, so we got all our style, everything. It was a mixture, if I'm being real. And so for me, when Colors came out, mind you, we was fighting these dudes who were already Crips. And so when Colors came out in the movie theater, and we seen that, we were like, whoa, like. So we supposed to be the opposite of these dudes because we fight. And that's how it happened. Like me and my cousin, and we started the Bloods based off that. You feel me? We just said we're going to be the opposite. Nobody from California put us down. We just said, man, we've been fighting these dudes in these other neighborhoods for so long, we're going to go against the grain. And at the time, it was 100 Crips to 1 Blood.
Wow.
That was the numbers.
Wow.
When we started. And man, I'll never forget. It just, pow. It just blew. And I remember we had two friends out of 𝒀𝒐𝐻𝒖𝑚𝒃𝒆, Tennessee, and Pooh died in 1994. And we did the funeral, right? This one I knew it had blue. When they did the funeral, it was a double funeral, right? Both of them in the cast. And I remember me and my cousin, they were going to this funeral, right? And we had on red shirt, black Dickies, red Chuck Taylors, flagged up real hard. And we were kind of nervous about going into this funeral home like this, right? Because we thought we were being disrespectful. And man, I'll never forget Sandy Quack. We opened the door. The whole funeral home was flamed up. Everybody had on red, right? And you had Bloods from far as Plano, Garland, white, Mexican, Puerto Rican. I'm talking about it blew our mind, right? We were like, whoa, right? And so we come into this situation, right? Double funeral. Everybody was dressed in gang paraphernalia except their mama. But sisters, cousins, brothers, everybody else. Hey, it was like something off the movie Colors. It was topping that. And I'll never forget, man, we were going down Ledbetter, man. We were just, it was like something out the movie, right? And we get to the graveyard. This one I knew. When we get to the graveyard, and after they put him in the ground, all of these Bloods who came from Cali, some was from Richmond, Garland, and different. I'm talking about, we had never seen nobody, no white or no Mexican or Puerto Rican gang member, right? And then all of these Bloods, right? And it was deep. Was paying homage to me, my cousin, and my partner, right? They were asking us, they was like we the OGs, like we called them, because they had a lot of them had heard about us, right? And they just, and so they was so at that point, I realized how much we had influenced the whole gang culture in terms of everybody wearing red, right? Because it was like we teenagers, and everybody saying, "What we doing, OG?" And
following your lead.
And we saying, "Man, we finna go mess the city up. We finna go paint the city, right? We finna go. Me and my cousin and my partner saying, man, we finna go hurt some people. Let's go hurt some people." And so, man, and I never forget. Every police car, I think, in the DPD unit had watched this whole funeral. Like every block was police cars and everything. They didn't mess with us. I mean, we swung down the streets and blocked off traffic. They just letting us do it. And when we got to the graveyard at Lincoln Ward, you had police all over, man. I'm talking about everywhere you can see. And we ain't even thinking about it. We like, man, we doing up
like a movie.
Like a movie, bro. And so look, so I say to the dudes, I said, look, let's meet up at the car wash in East Dallas, and then we gonna hit every Crip set in Dallas. We finna make them pay. You feel me? And say, bro, that was the plan. And then everybody was wired up and crunk, and we left out that graveyard, right? And when I tell you, every car that came out except the hearse got pulled over.
Wow.
Every car.
Already knew what was up.
Today, bro, me and my partners talk about that. We said, boy, that was only God, man. Because if we would have made it back to that car wash, it would have been a lot of people.
Nah, for real.
Everybody that got pulled over had guns on them.
Yeah.
And we were like, man, there was gonna be a lot of people who were gonna be hurt, but God intervened.
Yeah.
But that's when I knew like it got big. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So I know like you talk about it getting big, right? And it get big, and then you go, you get locked up,
right.
you go to prison, and then all of a sudden now you out, right? And,
but in prison, because
Okay.
I think this is important. In prison, bro, I gotta say this, right?
Yes, sir.
When I got to prison, man, it was crazy. But mind you, I'm going through this transformation in my mind, right? Because I wanted to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
And so before I denounced my gang, right? Because they wanted me to call shots in prison. I got there, everybody was like, OG gonna call the shots, you know, blah, blah, blah. Because I had partners who had been locked up 10, maybe 15 years, who weren't even out there when we started the game. But they just put it down, they just picked it up in
When
prison.
they got locked up.
Yeah, so they had been hearing about all the stuff we were doing in the streets. So when I got there, they wanted me to call the shots. But again, I'm looking at myself saying, I gotta do something different. You feel me?
Yes, sir.
And so one day I was coming out the chow hall, and this older inmate stopped me on the coming out the chow hall on a bowling alley. And this brother was from Houston. He was 15 years older than me. He had probably been locked up by 10, maybe 12 years at the time. And that brother walked up on me, bro, in 1997. And he said, little bro, let me talk to you. And I stopped, right? And he said, little bro, let me just say this to you, man. He said, man, I've been paying attention to you, bro. He said, all these brothers in this prison, they pay homage to you. They fall out of place. They do whatever you ask them to do. They want, you know, they want to be around you.
They want to be you.
And he said, and I'm 19, 20 at the time. Then he said, look, bro, if you can lead these brothers to do wrong, within you is the same ability to lead them to do right. He said, you're a leader. And I had never heard no words like that. You feel me?
Wow.
And that took me back, right? Because his brothers, I had never paid attention to that. I never paid attention to the brothers falling out of place and all the stuff that he was saying. But at that point, this brother started to mentor me, bro. And I started to work on me. I started looking in the mirror saying, all of the cognitive distortions that I had, I started addressing them. All the ugly stuff that was in my soul, I started addressing them. A lot of stuff I had to be accountable for because I made those choices, right? And so I denounced my gang in prison. I started studying, and before long, I had brothers who were just around me, right? And so I was bringing Crips together, Bloods together, you know, it was just different people, right? Because I started teaching and I'm 19, 20 years old, bro, but I'm so studious. I'm reading so many books, magazines. I'm not subjugating myself to the prison. Like I did 3-6. My partner and them, they didn't even understand it.
Yeah. How long were you locked up for?
4.5 years.
Got it.
Say my partners were like, whoa, but I was so serious about getting myself together, bro. And so I started bringing these brothers together, right? And I saw on a micro level the power of when you bring men together is squashing like the BS, the stuff that we can do. And so that kind of led me to this work. Cause I seen it happen in prison. I seen brothers come together in prison who hated each other like bloods. When I left that prison, I swear to God, when I left the prison, I had Bloods, Crips, who became brothers. You feel me? Yeah. And I was the least competent. Yeah. I was the one that brought it. They became brothers, man. I'm talking about like this. Yeah. But I left saying, man, I'm gonna get out there and make sure no young person has to make this choice. That's how I started this work.
Oh, man.
Click. It's 30 minutes?
Yeah.
All right, we still got some. Is the battery good?
30, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the better.
I don't know how it is.
You did work? You work?
I don't know how
All right, good. No, it's good.
It's good.
Yeah, we're gonna keep going. We got. You good?
Oh yeah, I'm
you
good.
got my note.
You need some.
How much more time you need?
Man, whatever y'all need.
Okay.
I'm good. Half the time y'all need, be good.
Hey, cause this is getting good, man. For real, like watching a movie, man. Like for real, man.
You want another one?
Nah, we good, man. How much time y'all got?
Oh man, we good. We just making sure you straight.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, boom. Count us in just so I can get it on it when I can hear the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I can edit it from there.
Let me let somebody get it.
Okay, yeah.
I like it, that one.
I appreciate it, man. Shout out to the plug. Order my step.
yeah. That's all we got too,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Yeah, we shot him out too. Order my steps.
Baby straight.
Scoot it off to
Yeah.
the right a little bit, man. Just
Okay.
right. Scoot it off to the
Is
right.
that Wayne promoting?
Yeah.
You get that fresh bubble.
Good.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Count down 5, 4, 3, 2, action.
Boom. So we went from, you as a child to, you growing up, y'all, the gang life, going to prison, and getting out of prison, right? Like, I know you talked about having a mentor in prison, right?
Right.
How important was not even just having a mentor in prison, but now that you had a mentor and you experienced that, how important do you think it is to have a mentor?
That's one of the most important things that I advocate no matter where I go, the importance of having a mentor. Somebody who care enough about you to pour something in you, to take your hand and lead you, man. Having a mentor is probably one of the most important things in doing this work, man, because that's your accountability. You gotta have that. Had that brother not saw something in me and not pour into me, I can't even say I'd be sitting here because he planted a seed that was where he watered a seed that was planted and nurtured that seed, right? And it grew into this. But you gotta have a mentor when you're doing this. Doing any kind of work, you gotta have a mentor. We live in a society now where people are slow to acknowledge those who pour into them or who came before them. I'm from the old school. I believe in paying homage and recognizing and giving props to the people who paid the way. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know where you've been, you definitely can't know where you're going. So you gotta have people who've been there, who care enough about you just to give you some information.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So mentor is important.
Yes, sir. I know, bro, I keep my bad.
Nah,
bro.
go
Every
ahead.
time I see you,
Man, look,
bro, can I be real, bro, my bad, bro. Hey, my bad, bro. Hey, for real, every time, hey, my bad, bro. Hey, I saw him about to say something, I'm like, yeah, my bad.
We got one name right now.
We got the one name,
We got two more.
Nah, thanks. But man, cause like when I'm here, like, cause we always talk about doing like motivational speaking and motivating and being positive, and a lot of times we have conversations and it's like you said, we feel like, man, we got here by ourselves and we poke our chests out but it's like, man, you gotta look back and pay homage to the people who helped you, cause like you always said, bro, we can't do it by ourselves. And like just how we got here, man, it's a little bit about our stories that he's been asking me for about a year.
Yeah.
Let's do this podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I not answer this dude phone call for like 2 months because I'm stuck in I can do it by myself.
Yeah.
Because I know once I commit,
yeah,
he gonna be, hey, bro, we gotta do, hey, you know what I mean? But I had that. I can do this by myself. I can do this by myself, and I'm learning now, man. It's like you can't do it by yourself, man.
Right.
You can't do it by yourself, man. So that's important, man. But you said one more thing, and then, bro, I
Now
promise
go
you.
make up one
Next question, bro. We gonna paper rock scissors for the next one. I'm just gonna turn to you and go. I know you're talking about reading, man.
Yeah.
Out of all the books that you read, what's like the one book that you'll say, man, if I can just only have this one book to read, like what's that book that's your book? You know what I mean?
I got a couple of them, but I narrowed down to one. Make You Wanna Holler by 𝒀𝒐𝒖𝐻𝒖𝒃𝒆 was one of the books that I read that really opened my mind up for all of the other books that I've read. I mean, it's a lot of books that I think foundational. But Make You Wanna Holler by 𝒀𝒐𝒖𝒃𝒆 was one of those books because 𝒀𝒐𝒖𝒃𝒆 grew up in Portsmouth, Virginia, and he went through the same transformation that I went through. I mean, when I read his book, it almost felt like he was telling my story. And to hear, he went through the same stuff, went to jail, got out, and then went to working for the Washington Post to teaching at Emory University in Atlanta, man. That brother did a 360, man. Started out just like I did, right? When I read that book, that opened my mind up. And I read, I know you said one, but reading autobiography of Malcolm was definitely one of those ones that I read that I prescribe for any black man who trying to do something different, man. Because Malcolm gives you the blueprint of going from Detroit Red to debating with some of the best scholars at Oxford. So I look at those were like blueprints that I use. Listening to their story, it gave me that motivation, that encouraged me that I wasn't defined by my zip code. I wasn't defined by the mistakes that I made. That it was really about my promise. And so those books opened me up. Think and Grow Rich by Dennis Kimbrough. Not the Napoleon Hill, but Dennis Kimbrough. The Blackbird. That was definitely
that's a good book.
Falsification of the African American Conscience by Amos Wilson was a good book. Man, it's a lot of books that I read, man. I read like 1,500 books when I was locked up.
Gotcha.
And so that's important.
Man, hold on, man.
Look, I promise.
I probably read 3, 4, 5. I read a lot, but I rarely finish. That's my problem.
I used to read so much that the brothers in prison used to come pull me from the table. One brother pulled me, the other grabbed my book, and they'd be like, "Look, you gonna bust your brain. You gotta go outside." Yeah. I didn't learn how to play dominoes. I didn't know how to play cards. I ain't do none of the stuff that was ritualistic to prison. I used prison as college. I said, I'm gonna educate myself because I was so set on making sure that I leave out of here better than what I was when I came. This was gonna be college for me. And it became college for me. Seriously college for me. And it helped.
Yeah.
Oh, it helped.
That's what's up.
That's major. So how you make that? Because even from just what we know on the outside, prison is like a different. That's a completely different beast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's like a gladiator sport. So it's like how do you stay focused in the midst of all that? You know what I'm saying? Cause you got all these rappers that go and they you know what I'm saying? They PC or whatever,
they tell you a fabricated story, man. This one thing I know about prison, man, and I want the baddest, other toughest. Make no mistake about it. But prison, man, in prison, bro, it's one of them kind of environments that if you want to fight, you can find a fight every day, all day. If you say I want to fight every day for the next 6 years in prison, you gonna get that. You gonna get that, right? And prison humble you, man, because you learn that, hey, man, you want to jump out there, you got somebody gonna jump out there, and you learn you ain't the baddest. Yeah. And I just seen little bitty dude. I'm talking about. So prison, they kind of, but for me though, right? I said to myself, right? I said, man, if I can dedicate my life to hurting people for the game and willing to die for it, then I can dedicate my life to helping people and be willing to die for it, right? I said that. I said, like, I'm gonna. And you gotta understand, denouncing the gang in prison takes courage, because the gang is what protects you in prison. Like prison is separated and segregated by gangs, and but for me, right, I was so committed on change because of the information that I was learning and the information that I was sharing. I was so committed on that I stood on that, man. And brothers really accepted me, because what I understood too, what I learned later was, like I said, I want the baddest, but no one near the baddest. But what I learned was the strong rule the weak, but the wise rule them all. Okay. You feel me? The strong rule the weak, but the wise rule them all. So it was about this. So while most people were working out and building their muscle,
you're gonna see that on Instagram.
I was working this muscle right here. This the muscle that I was working at, because it was brothers that I know to knock me out in one punch, right? But they were more afraid of my what I say, how I can embarrass them just because my articulation and all that kind of stuff. And I knew that. Like that brother would rather have a fight with you than you say something that
embarrassing in front of the whole team. That'd be a problem.
You know how to talk them down.
Man.
Problem.
Say, man, this right here is a weapon.
Yeah.
But I worked on this, bro. I really worked on that. when I was locked up.
Yeah, they say wars are started and ended with words.
With words, man.
Words,
so, I was teaching, right? I was really teaching, like everything that I was learning, I was sharing it with the brothers. You know, like I had money on my book, and in prison, like that bucket right there, that's what we spread in. That's what we cooked the food in. And so I would, since I had money on my books, I paid for the food. In prison, when you eat with your people, you throw it in trash, right? Which I felt was stupid. I was like, why we throwing this in trash? I know this guy over here hungry. You know, but he ain't a part of your set. He ain't a part of your gang. He ain't a part of your race. And so what I started doing, man, whenever we spread, I was just walking around the dorm, say, bro, you hungry? Hey, bro, you hungry? And that was something like, that wasn't stuff you do. That's out the norm. And through that, man, I started making friends. I started, you know, because ain't nobody gonna turn down no commissary.
That's real.
If they ain't no money on their books and they eating out the chow hall, you come with a suit. Oh, they gonna
get that. Nah,
but I started talking to people, right? I started talking to people. I remember I had a friend. He was the head of the 𝐴 Nation, right? This dude had tattoos, bald head tattoos from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. Lightning bolts, swastikas. He even had a tree on his arm with a man hanging. I'm assuming it's a black guy. but that's how far he was into the AAB, right? Aryan Brotherhood, Aryan Nation. But me and him started talking, right? And I used to see brothers, cause at this time everybody loved me. Everybody want to be around. Cause all I'm doing is challenging brothers to be accountable, you know, and be men and be real men, and challenge the stars. Because prison, you got a bunch of dudes in that line, you know, playing like they pimps and players, and everybody just sitting around lying to each other, you know, lies. So, and I had, for me, my tolerance for BS was gone. Yeah. And so I'm telling brothers about, man, hey, we got to be accountable. We got to do this. And so I'm in the corner talking to this brother, Aryan brother. And what I started realizing was that we had a lot of stuff in common. That these barriers and these labels, blood, crip, this, all this stuff prevented us from being real men and real fathers and all that good stuff and being accountable. So when you strip those labels, you just got a vulnerable man. You just got humanity. And so me and this brother, so I looked at this brother, he had tattoos all over his face, right? And to the untrained eye, he looked menacing. But when I started to get to talking to him, what I realized was those tattoos was not that he was a menace. Those tattoos was to scare you off. That was to scare you off because he had a little boy that was in him that was afraid. You feel me? He put on the tattoo just in the same way as I put on the gang stuff to protect me. And so stuff like that, man, I just started learning, bro, and started sharing with other people in an instance to get us to be real men, responsible men, and not be succumbing to the BS.
So what you feel like hurting us right now? Like,
let's change his memory card.
Oh Lord!
Sorry. We good.
I got it.
Yeah, we good. We got 𝒀𝒏.
Here we go.
Yeah, we forward on it. Okay.
What about the other one?
Which one? This one over here? I won't know until we stop.
Hold on, where the other one at? I had another one, a little small one, a little black one. The black one I took out the other camera. Oh, right here.
Go faster. We need to go a little bit fast.
Now, we good. It's just I didn't know that memory card was gonna fill up that fast.
Okay.
Well, it's not very hot.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, it was showing how much time. It was just saying full.
Oh, watch that cut.
I maxed out the time. He hit the stop on the record. So you good?
Yeah.
You want no spread something?
All right, we gonna go after I put this one in. We're just gonna go. We're gonna go into the book. We're gonna go into the book, and then we're gonna go into the end of the segment. We do a segment at the end called "Can I Be Real?"
Yeah.
But we're gonna ask you like 3 questions, and you just get the realest answer. One, I ain't gonna lie, one of them gonna be a little silly, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, a little off the wall. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Man, y'all can't be asking those bumper jumps.
Nah.
Nothing.
Hey, look though, bro. So we had an episode last week, about a month ago, and we said, I asked my boy, would you rather be born again as born again as a white man, or live the rest of your life as you are, something like that. And he was like, nah, I'll be like right now. But my boy said, but when I was little, I wanted to be white. Well, it was so funny. I said, heck no. My boy
had all superheroes, bro. Who we had back then?
My boy said,
Black man.
Hey, but it was funny though, bro. That's all we had was Blank Man. That's it, bro. We ain't had nothing back then. We had Blank Man.
I wonder if it's coming forever.
Nah, for real.
Yeah.
For real.
We were limited.
Very.
We record?
Yeah, we record now. It's live.
All right.
All right, just give us one more count in. That way I can, I'm going to sit your glasses on top of you.
All right, cool. Good. What's in this spring?
What's in it?
Right.
Is it something in the kingdom?
Oh, no, yeah, you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, action.
And we're back. Huh?
They say card error. Is this a full?
That's a new one.
He probably got to reformat.
Yep, so don't worry about that one then. That one good?
Yes.
All right, so do this, Carlos. You just going to have to, pick it up. And come close. And since we're not gonna use that one, and when he talking on him, and then when everybody talking, put it on us. Yep, and then just move. So you can come as close as you want, because that one's not gonna record no more.
Just especially get tired.
Why can't you switch the memory card? No.
Because we use all of them.
Yeah,
we got reformatted. Yeah, and then the other two in there. So we can go on that one real quick. We got like 15.
All right.
Are you ready to look?
Let's roll.
Good.
Oh yeah, I'm good.
All right. So now we done touched on Kiddo. We done touched on Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now I think we at the point to where Mr. Antong Lucky, man, the author, like,
yeah.
How's that journey? Like, how did you even become? Like, did you just wake up one day and say, hey, I'm gonna write a book, or like it's something you've been wanting to do?
So is this this the final transformation?
So no. That's not the final. This is more.
So we got another costume.
Oh,
Yeah. Nah, that's what's up.
Nah, but I had man, when I started doing this work 22 years ago, man, and I got to give a shout out to Bishop 𝒀𝒐𝒖𝑻𝒖𝒃𝒆, the late great Bishop 𝒀𝒐𝒖𝒃𝒆, who was my spiritual guide, big brother, and mentor, right? When we connected doing this work, I noticed like it was something special about what we were doing, because we had always advocated for brothers like us, for brothers in general, brothers who come out of neighborhoods, for brothers who had struggle. We always advocated for the brothers. We always said that we needed brothers to be looked at in a different light, because most people had said us as black men were the problem, and we kicked off and we connected saying, now black men are the solution, right? And so we always advocated for black men. And I knew we were doing something special. Like all the moments that I had with Omar, man, I knew it was special, man, because nobody in the space advocating for black men.
Yes.
Nobody advocating for black boys the way we were way back then. I never forget, we was at the White House, right? And Omar was making a pitch, and he was saying, because we were using ex-felons, we didn't care about what your past was, about your future. So, and I remember this white lady, this old white-haired white lady, said to Omar, she said, so are you implying that you guys use felons to work with kids? Because we believe that the OGs be the mentors, right? And Omar said, without even hesitating, he said, man, with all due respect, it was probably fellas who made the kids.
Nah, for real.
You feel me?
That's
and
for
everybody
real.
fell out laughing, right?
That's for real.
You feel me? Because those laws and stuff that people make up, we understand safety, but I believe that all of us, like we were talking about a while ago, brother, all of us have something to contribute.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
that
sir.
whatever you went through, God made you go through it so that you can give it to somebody else.
That's real.
That's your medicine that you give to somebody. You having a conversation with. If I had somebody when I was a young person who didn't have his father in his life, who was growing up in a violent neighborhood, if I had somebody to grab my hand and say, look, bro, let me walk you through this terrain. Don't step right there, 'cause that's a landmine. Step right here, 'cause I've been down this road, man. I think I probably would have been a little bit further than what I am.
Yeah.
And I think for our neighborhoods and our community, our kids have to see brothers like us. You know what I'm saying? And we don't have to be special. We don't have to have no special powers. All we have to do is share what God put in us to share. You know what I'm saying? Us being able to model and embody the type of brotherhood, the type of manhood that kids like ours need to see. There's a lot of young people in our neighborhoods right now who need us, who need a blueprint.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? But society done made us look at them, all them kids, they too dangerous, they too this or they too that, and we done bought into it. And we got some gold that we supposed to be giving to them that they ain't getting because we ain't moved. We ain't moved out and said we gonna do this.
We gonna do what we need to do.
Opportunities follow action. You know what I'm saying? Period.
That's a bar. My granddad used to say that all the time. Like opportunities, like you can't just sit around and just think something going to happen. You got to put some motion into it, and then what they call it success is when opportunity meets. Preparation meets opportunity. You know, that's when you're successful. So you know, you always got to be preparing for something, and you know, working in the community and working with kids. It's. I used to look at it as like, man, it's a hard job until I started seeing myself as those kids, right? You know, and I know you do a lot of work in the community with kids. What's one of the biggest challenges that you see right now with working with the youth today?
It's not enough men, not enough of us who are modeling the type of behavior we trying to put down. You know, oftentimes people think that kids want to hear their story. That's not what it is. It's not that kids want to hear a story. They don't hear many stories. They want somebody to walk with them. And a lot of us, for whatever reason, don't believe we qualified for the assignment. That's the biggest problem, man. We don't believe it's a lot of kids, young people out here who are growing up in homes where their father's not present, just like mine, they're in prison, or the strained relationship between the mother, and they crying out for help. They crying out for somebody. That's why they acting out, because they crying out because they need that attention, they need that love that they not getting. And when we not giving them that love, by the time they get 17 or 18 years old and they've been neglected for so long, they non-empathetic, so they can take a life like this because they don't have love, or they haven't got the nourishment to be able to love another human being. That's the job of us.
Yes.
That's why I'm on this path that I'm on, because I understand it's our role, it's our job to push past the stuff that keep us from connecting as men.
Yes, sir.
You know, being vulnerable and connecting as men. For me, seeing you as my brother.
Yes, sir.
Like I walk in this space, y'all my brother. We ain't
sir.
gotta know each other.
Yes, sir.
We locked because we brothers,
Yes,
man.
sir.
And that's what we bond
Yes,
from
sir.
that. If we can embody that to other men, saying, hey man, it's your responsibility. Hey man, let's do this. Push past this tribalism or gangs or neighborhood. Like I grew up in this neighborhood, so I don't mess with them. That's killing our kids, man. That's killing our kids. Why they can't see black men working together and loving on each other, and that be the model? That's why they killing each other, because we are in essence showing them that it's okay. Because ain't nobody saying, hey man, let me show love.
Yes, sir.
Not only to my brother, but let me show love to this young person.
Yes, sir.
I believe when we start showing love, and it's not biased, it's not geographical, it's not if you then that's when our neighborhood will break free, because our kids need that. They need the love.
Yes,
I've seen numerous of times where kids, and you can't write them off, where kids who I can look at a young person and in my mind say, nah, he ain't gonna make it, and he be the one to make it.
That's real.
Or I can look at a young person and say, they gonna be successful, that be the one to go to prison. You never know.
You never know, not for real.
So it's on us to, and I got a lot of young people who were teenagers when we started this work. They 30, they grown men and women now, that when I come see them, like when somebody asks me like, man, what's success for you, you know? And I answer that by saying success is not in material things or what I accumulate or nothing like that. Success is defined by how many people that you come in contact with that say they life better because they met you. So everywhere I go, I'm trying to find somebody to enrich. And people look at me like I'm crazy because it's not this culture. I don't have no motive. I don't have no agenda. Brother, I just want to see young. A little brother, hey man, you need to make this right decision. I love you.
Yes, sir.
You feel me?
Yes, sir.
We got to start doing that,
Yes,
man.
sir. Yes, sir.
And so I wrote this book as a blueprint to that. It's the journey of my life going from incarceration to activism, doing this work. I left out of prison. They said to me that you got an X on your back, that you're going to go back to the streets and sell drugs, da-da-da. And I said, if the X is what keep me out of opportunities, then it's my job to make the X be what give me opportunities. And I left out of prison saying I'm an ex-felon, and that's what qualified
That's what
me.
qualified you.
So now I walk in the room, White House, any house, and it's understood. You know, I'm not hiding it. I'm not. I don't shrink to that. That's one chapter in my story. You know what I'm saying?
It's many more.
It's many more.
It's many more.
I've been tapping this.
Hey, you know, we've been. Hey, this is good, man. We've been tapped in, man. We've been tapped in today. Like, man, this. I'm gonna be honest, man. I should have just got my notepad in because you said so many quotables in here, man. But man, we appreciate you for coming through, man. But before we end this show, man, we always do it. We got our segment, the Can I Be Real segment. Okay. This part of the show, man, we're gonna ask you a couple questions, you know, and we just want you to get the realest answer possible, man.
Before y'all do that, man, let me say this on camera, man.
Yes, sir.
Man, I really appreciate you, brothers, man. Yes, I want y'all to keep doing this, bro, because these type of platforms where y'all doing this is what we need more of.
Yes,
and don't ever feel like you ain't. This is where it starts at right here, bro. We need many platforms, many brothers like y'all who are really trying to get the right information. We got all the other
that's real.
BS out there. We need this, bro.
Yes, sir.
Man,
I appreciate y'all.
It usually be more dialogue.
Yeah.
But I just been real life soaking up game. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like this was needed for a lot of people. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So definitely.
And man, you know, like we said at the beginning, it's been a struggle, man. It's been a learning, not a struggle, but a learning. It's been a week so you know, just trying like just sitting here now in this moment, it make it all worth it, man. You know what I mean? It make it all worth it, man. So I appreciate you.
I'd rather be doing this than anything else, bro.
Sir.
You know, and then just to see y'all doing this. Because I understand how important it is.
Yes, sir.
Like when me and Omar started out, and I'll be quiet. When me and Omar met in 2000, we just had an idea and a vision of us starting this organization and doing the work. Right? We didn't have no money, just rice and beans and Williams chicken for the kids. We didn't have nothing, bro.
Wow.
You hear me?
Wow.
And we've grown that company. We've grown that company to, I have probably about 30 employees, 10 which of upper management, and it started from nothing.
Yes, sir.
Across the country, you know, and God has been real good, man. You know, you just got to be faithful, bro. Stay when nobody else don't see the vision. You just got to keep going.
Yes, sir.
It started right here, bro. Just keep pushing because look, it's a lot of. Anything that becomes successful go against the grain. Yes. See, it's a lot of other podcasts and there's a lot of other talks that's all about the BS, right?
Yes, sir.
The name of this is Can I Keep It Real? So you saying I'm trying to be that's
real.
Different. So you going against the grain of what the culture doing right now. But in a minute, it got to turn to this. You feel me? It got to turn to this. So in essence, you probably be ahead when you probably thinking you just getting started. You feel me?
Deep,
so I'm just saying keep pushing this, bro.
I appreciate that, man. You know, and one thing we try to tell people, man, because somebody asked me, like, man, why y'all naming this the Can I Be Real podcast? You know, this and like I told them, man, like, it ain't about being real, like I'm real, I'm tough. It's about being real with yourself.
Authentic.
When you look in that mirror and you see who you are and you proud of that person that you are, and you can look at yourself in the face and say, man, look, I ain't lied to nobody today. I ain't cheated on nobody. I ain't get over on nobody. I did everything I was supposed to do. And I'm real with myself. So, man, we appreciate you for coming through, keeping it real, man. But like we said, it's about that time. We're going to hit you with these questions.
Okay.
Come on, bro.
I ain't got no rhythm, bro. Let me get my rhythm right, bro.
I know one thing, though. Come on, bro. I got to get these joints because they match my books.
Oh, man. Hey, somebody snap a flick.
Hey, I got to get those, man. You just gave me my outfit, man.
The month of July begins with the dark bus ride through my old neighborhood. Yeah. Hey, if you need an Audible reader, if you ever need an Audible reader, I got you, man. I got you.
Yeah.
All right, so, man, you ready? Right, you got it, man. You got it.
Off the one?
I don't know whose seat he on the mic.
Come on, bro.
Right,
go ahead.
Are you ready? All right. Here we go, man. Here we go. Got a question for you. All right, so, can I be real?
Can I be real? Yes, you can.
If you could live anywhere in the world, but not in the U.S., where would you live?
Probably.
And why?
Okay. Probably Brazil, man. Because they got some beautiful women now. Every time I see Brazilian women, I had met this girl that was Brazil, man. I was like, whoa. And they cater, and they very cater.
Hey, we can have somebody come on the screen when you say that.
Yeah,
like, whoa.
They do.
Nah,
they very cater.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Especially to black with a different races.
Yes.
They just like black men.
Tropical, yes.
What it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The melanin,
yeah,
right?
It's the melanin. It's the melanin. It's the stardust.
Hey, Brazilian women are beautiful. Okay.
Little dog.
Nah, yeah, little dog. Very free. All right, I got one more, and then you can go, man. So my last one, man, is if you can go back to any year in your life and change one moment, what moment would it be?
Man, probably be when for me or just for in general.
Just for your life, like I wouldn't have turned that right on the stop sign yesterday. I know I wouldn't, man, because hit a pothole. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, let's.
Man, I think I go back to I lost a friend to a drive-by shooting. Was a good friend of mine.
Sorry for
and it was a drive-by shooting that I orchestrated, that I recruited him for, and he lost his life. I never forget having to tell his mother what had happened, man. And that was the worst day of my life, living with that, having to tell his mother. He wasn't a gang member. He just did it because I asked him to. If I could go back and I live with that. If I could go back and change something, I'd change it. I would. He was coming home from work. I would have not flagged him down. I changed it. I live with that every day. I feel like I'm directly responsible for that.
Yes, sir.
If I change that.
Sorry about your loss, too.
Yeah.
Well,
hopefully you lighten it up a little.
Yeah. He got to come.
I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna try.
Okay.
So, hey, that's kind of.
Yeah.
But look, I do gotta ask you.
Okay.
In prison.
Yeah.
What was your biggest lesson?
My biggest.
And it can be the smallest lesson that has the biggest impact, or it can be a huge lesson.
Now, the biggest lesson for me in prison was really understanding that I had the power of choice. That everything that happened to me up until that point was a accumulation of choices that I made. That I had the power to make a choice. Like when I say I'm denouncing the gang, that was just a choice. When I said that I was gonna come back to my neighborhood, those are choices. Oftentimes we don't think that we have choices, that we don't have the power to choose, but we do. I learned in prison that the devil has no power over you. All he does is whisper into your conscience, but you have the power not to respond. That was when I learned that, boy, I say it was on. That was the biggest thing I learned. As small as that is, that was the biggest thing I learned, that the devil, a bad idea, can only just whisper to your conscience, but you got the choice to respond or not, the way you want to respond. When I learned that, everything else was downhill for me. That's the biggest lesson I learned in prison.
Last question, man. I thought it was going to be a pretty good one for you. Three things. What's three things that can help us as a community, as black people, black men? Since we all leave, what's three things?
Three things is really unmasking the fact that we've been taught to be hard versus being vulnerable. I think black men have to learn how to be vulnerable and not hold everything in, because these ideas that say you got to be tough, you can't cry, you can't do this, I think that's killing us. So that supporting each other, we have to definitely learn to support each other. And then forgiveness, we got to learn how to forgive without expectation. A lot of times we won't forgive even the stuff that happened to us because we expecting somebody to respond a certain way. But forgiveness is not about the other person, it's about you. So if you say, man, I forgive, and truly mean it and understand that, you free right then. But oftentimes we ask for forgiveness because we want somebody to say, I'm sorry, or I didn't mean to do it, because we expecting something. But we gotta be able to exhibit true forgiveness, where we forgive and just let it go. So those are three things I think that support that we do as a community. It can take us far.
Can I be real?
That's a rap right there.
Can I be real? Hey, it's been another live one, man. Yeah. We here with Mr. Antong Lucky.
Yeah.
Heights Districts.
Yeah.
Mozzie Gang.
Bruce
Wayne. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Bruce Wayne is my favorite. Let me explain why before I explain why. Yeah. So for me, Batman was the greatest out of the whole, in my opinion, just he had no powers.
Yeah.
No physical power compared to the whole rest of the movie.
Yeah.
But he was the most dangerous because he had something to lose. Everybody else kind of stacked
Yeah.
up, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
he the only one that's normal, but the most dangerous.
He had to use it.
He had to use that.
He had to use that mind. He had to use that mind.
Hey, Crusader.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, brother. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you can let the people know, man, where they can find you at, how they can order the book, how they can follow you, you know.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, you can follow me at Antong Speaks on all social media. That's ANTONGSPEAKS. And then you can get this book anywhere books are sold, whether it's Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart. You can walk into your area bookstore. I guarantee they're going to have it on the shelf. And I do have it in Audible. So you can go on Audible if you're not a reader, you just want to listen to it. But you can go get this book, and I promise you, you're going to be blessed by what you read on these pages. Man, I wrote it in a way specifically for you. It was forwarded by my big bro, Deion Sanders. It's definitely a great book to read. So y'all go check this book out, man.
Y'all heard what he said. It was forwarded by his big bro, Deion.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, Sanders. I just heard Deion, bro. I just heard Deion and got excited, bro. I'm like, that's me, bro. You know what I'm saying? I got my book coming.
But man, we definitely appreciate you.
Thank y'all, man.
And they let us know whatever we can.
Yeah. Whatever we can do, man, for real.
Nah, we locked in. I promise you, y'all. This right here is the start of a relationship.
Yes, sir.
We locked in. I'm already in my mind saying who I'm finna hook y'all up with.
Yes, sir.
You feel me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Cause I know I'm seeing y'all doing this out the mud, man. I got some brothers and some people in the network, man, that I'm gonna introduce y'all to. That's gonna. You know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tighten us up.
Yeah,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that's what it's about.
Yes, sir. And I will.
If I got something in my network, bro, I'm sharing it.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Because I believe we better together, and when we share and meet and connect.
Yes, sir.
We all help each other.
Yes, sir.
Be better, man. So I got some people, man. Y'all keep doing what y'all doing.
We
man.
appreciate you, man.
Anytime y'all need me, I'm coming.
Hey, we gonna have you back on here, man.
Yeah, I'm coming back.
Hey, cause an hour ain't enough. We need. I still.
I really do want us to just to have, but I feel like your message was so up here that it was no need for a conversation. At least not now. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, for real.
Come back and
I'm back.
I really pick your brain. I'm a little Bruce Wayne myself. I want to just understand.
Hey, maybe we can do like a day with you, man. Your community, you know what I mean? And just you know.
Say, man, listen. I'm telling you, we locked in. I'm telling y'all, I didn't know what this was, but I really appreciate what y'all doing, bro. And I want to be however I can help. However I can help. I'm telling you, got my word on that. Can I keep it real?
Yes, sir.
Y'all got my word on that.
Hey, and on that note, can I be real?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, dope.
I'm the one that's talking about stock. I'm the one that's talking about growth. They ain't never got shit to say, but they the ones that's talking shit the most. I'm the one that's talking about debt, making sure you can never go broke. These niggas just show you how to hang. I'm the one come confiscate the road. Make ways I can probably shake the boat. When they flooded the game, I made them moat. Made Black Boy Joy and gave him hope. Want bars and songs, I gave them both. I've been appointed position, the person that probably gonna lead us away. They killing niggas for profit, no profit, the future is needless to say. They sell our fashion and culture and then resell it the shit that we made.